Good morning, Story Trading VIPs. It's Thursday, May 4th. Do we have a show for you today? Lots of news coming up, lots of actionable trade ideas, lots of hugely accurate predictions that we're going to show you how they worked out. Unbelievable. But first, we got to look at the macro situation. We got to look at all these regional banks dying again with PACW report coming out from Bloomberg that they're looking for a sale of the company. And that's taking down all the other regional banks. I noticed last night that really caused gold to shoot up. There was a spike to 195 last night in after hours. So gold and Bitcoin are the two hedges I have in place against currency risk, bank risk, and debt ceiling risk. So look at this. Let's see. Gold looks like it's poised to kind of almost, it's very close to an all-time high. So I'm not going to really do technicals for you here, except you can clearly see this gigantic pattern, kind of like a gigantic cup and handle forming. And I'm hoping this breaks out over $200, and I'm hoping it will be a good hedge against any kind of turmoil that the banking sector can cause the markets. Bitcoin, the same thing. I'm using that as a hedge. Proved itself to me when Silicon Valley Bank went bust. Had a little bit of a bid this morning, not as much as gold, but I think it's good to diversify your bets. You don't know which one's going to work. Now, QQQ, by the way, I think is in danger. We had FOMC yesterday, so let me just tell you when things changed. So I was listening to the conference call carefully, and in one of the WhatsApp groups in my inner circles here, I had talked about the moment. I timed it to the second, basically, the moment in the press release when the market finally decides to take its direction was when Powell basically said no interest rate decreases this year, no interest rate cuts this year. Okay, so it was moving up first because everyone is like pause is great. We want to pause, right? They got the pause. Market was moving up on the pause. Generally speaking, it was choppy, but moving towards up because they got the pause. But why is pause good in the first place? A pause is good in the first place because people are expecting what comes next is a cut. That's why it's good, right? But if the pause is just a pause before another increase, that's not good. So it was laid up for him. Someone said, is it possible there will be at some point later this year? Is it even on the table? There's possible to cut interest rates. And he didn't even say it's on the table. He didn't say it's data dependent. Maybe we'll cut. He was like, we don't think we're going to be able to cut. This is how inflation is entrenched. It's not, we're not going to cut. Like, he could have easily said it's data dependent, like he says with everything else, but he didn't. And that was the moment. And I flagged it in that second that's it. This is the direction the market's heading down. So now the market headed down. QQQ right at the 20 DMA at a critical level, but we have Apple today. And Apple today is really going to decide what's going to happen. And I have absolutely no prediction for Apple. I don't do earnings predictions. So you can see it's also at a tenuous level at the 20 DMA here. But, and who knows, can the banking crisis be like flight to safety again? Can more money rush into Apple? Like we said, gold and Bitcoin as a hedge. We saw after Silicon Valley Bank, what was the hedge? It was Apple. It was Microsoft. It was big mega caps with cash balances. That was the hedge. So I really don't know what's going to happen regarding Apple and QQQ, but I can tell you this feels a lot like 2008, 2009. I think all of these regionals are going bust. PACW, we called it last week, by the way. When this was $10, I said PACW is next after First Republic went down. And then Zion's in line, Wall's in line, MCB's in line. They're all in line. This is 2009 on steroids, in my opinion. And I've been saying for a very long time that what we're seeing here, especially in the ARKK chart, but this was .com bust. This is what this was. Is again, it's more obvious in the .com in the ARK chart. This is the .com bust right there. Very obvious, right? That was a bubble, speculative bubble. It burst. And I always said the cycle we're in is a repeat of what happened in 2000, the .com bust, followed by financial crisis. It took 8 years to go from .com bust to financial crisis. But this is happening much more rapidly, and I predicted it would happen much more rapidly. So I think that's the next phase of the market, is this credit crunch leading to some sort of financial crisis or a deep recession. So I'm not particularly bullish on QQQ. Again, short term with Apple and kind of perceived flight to safety. I don't know what's going to happen, but gold and Bitcoin, I like them as hedges. Okay, so now let's move to specific stocks, and there is a lot to cover. First of all, I just want to note LILM. We gave this to you a couple days ago on targets, which 20 DMA, 50 DMA. Look how beautiful. It got resisted at the 20 DMA on the first day. So maybe you had to have a day of patience for this to work out. 2050, that's it. Why? Because they raise money. And I've been telling you, that's the theme. It's a credit crunch theme. And microcaps, risk assets, any stock that needs money is just going to be going down, 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 down until they secure their financing. Here's another example, by the way, of how bad the credit markets is. If you want to raise money, especially if you go out there and you say, I want to raise money, but the deal's not secured yet. This is what happened with CJJD. We saw it with CJJD. ZYXI, same thing. We want to raise money, and then they canceled the offering because of poor market conditions. Guess what? The stock's not bouncing back up. We saw the same thing with CJJD. I guess because the market's thinking, well, they do need to raise money. They might not do it this second, but maybe they'll do it next month. Maybe that's what's happening, because we saw the same thing with CJJD. They said, we want to raise money, went from $4 to $1. And they canceled the next day, and the stock didn't rebound. So that's the situation we're in. We're in the credit card crunch market, and if you're successfully able to raise money, that's when you're able to break your resistance levels and turn the corner and maybe put a bottom in. So now let's move to some actionable ideas for today. Wow, look at this. LNTH, SHOP, GLBE, my top picks. I scoured through like 20 earnings reports this morning, and I'm only giving you the good ones. So LNTH, this is a re-rating play. They beat earnings, EPS by 17%. They raised guidance on EPS for the year by 10%. If you do the math on that, it takes you to about $89 to $96 range. Now, the 52-week high here is at 91.62. So the two resistance levels would be your 20 DMA and then the 52-week high. So 87 is your first resistance level. We're right there right now at $87, and that's going to be support if it breaks it. And then the next level is going to be the 52-week high at 91. And fundamentally, right, with this re-rating of the earnings, it's going to be justified. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, tune in 12 p.m. today, Rexman Trades. We're going to be there, Rexman Trades, 12 p.m. We're going to talk about short the market, short Meta, and is also going to give us an analysis on a couple stocks, including AUGX. Okay, so going back to that re-rating play on LNTH, SHOP. This was one of the good earnings reports. They had a surprise profit. So surprise profit in this market obviously is great. And the resistance level was 55. It actually broke it right now. Unbelievable. So it broke 55. Where does it go next? I don't know, but 55 is now support if it holds in the opening minutes. You got to see how it opens in the first 30 minutes. If it holds 55, that's going to be your support level. And then could this swing? Could this swing to like 77 over the next several days? It's possible. Certainly possible. But actually 50 was your first resistance level this morning. 50 and then 55. Now broke 55. We'll see if 55 can hold as support. Probably too late to chase it. But check this out. SHOP up 21%. You remember who SHOP has a big ownership stake in? SHOP has a big stake in GLBE. And GLBE is they use their technology in Shopify websites for e-commerce. So GLBE up only 6% compared to 21% for Shopify. So this one, I noted this one at like $26, that this one can be a sympathy play and just explode today. And so far, it's been doing that. You got resistance here about 28.90. That's my target, 28.90. Remember, they didn't report earnings, so it's not going to be as powerful. You can't say it's going to be up 20%. You can just say it's going to have a good day. Like I was telling my colleague, I think GLBE is going to be up 5-6% today, and there it is right now, up 5-6%. The jury's out on whether it's going to break this level, 28.80, 28.90. It's possible it does because of the strength of SHOP. But the easy money was jumping in this morning over here when he saw SHOP up big and Globe didn't go up yet. Someone noticed that, and it jumped up like almost $2 so far already. So those are the top picks from Catalyst today. I also think Celsius, I'll go through all these catalysts in a second here on this list, but I think Celsius, as a follow-through, also top of my list with earnings next week, 2 inside candles after this big pop over here. If it has another inside candle, then maybe it holds 99.60 right at the open, and then boom, it can break that resistance level, the highs of the last 2 days, and go off to the races, possibly. But then you do have your support at 96. Always possible. Leave room for the possibility it moves down to 96, and you can pick it up there. That'll be great. I'm anticipating really good earnings based on channel checks that I'm monitoring that's being shared out on social media. All right, let's go back to the top of the list and let you know about these 2 picks from Chris Tuttle, INFU Systems and OLED. He shows us yesterday. They both had earnings. INFU was mixed. I think it was a top line beat. Yep. but a bottom line miss. You see that they missed by 4 cents on the bottom line, beat by about 2 million on the top line, but they reaffirmed their 2023 guidance. So all in all, not much to write home about. So I don't really anticipate any big moves either way on INFU. But just putting it out there, Chris Tuttle put this out there, earnings report. I think he was short into that. So not a lot of liquidity yet in the pre-market, only 340 shares. It's not clear what direction that's going to go in, but it looks like they did beat by a penny on the EPS. So this is mixed. Sales missed by 6 million. So we'll have to see how that goes. I'll have to catch up with Chris. I think he actually did give an opinion to me earlier today here on that. Nothing really in the transcript in OLED. Nobody really changed the fact that they decided to hold 2023 guidance. So interesting that they held guidance. Estimates they come down some given top line miss pre-market. Okay. So yeah, that revenue looks like a pretty big miss. So it doesn't look particularly bullish. Apple earnings after the close. We talked about that earlier. Also after the close, Clearfield earnings. This one has gotten demolished. Their peer reported this morning and it looked like a fairly big miss. COMM. But the stock is up. Did I get that wrong? Let's see. Well, they beat on the EPS by 2 cents. I guess that's why it's up, but they missed on the revenue by 150 million. So anyway, don't know what to make of that at this point. We're just waiting for Clearfield. They're entirely different companies anyway. I don't think one's going to have an impact on the other. So Clearfield earnings today after the close. DermTech earnings today after the close. I'll be watching that one very, very closely. Potential 10, 20 bagger if they ever turn the corner on sales. So that's something I'll be very closely watching, and I hold a position in long term. All right, AUGX, I think continuing to show potential here. We're going to talk to Rexman at 12 p.m. on the AUGX chart. So this one here, it was $3 resistance, also like 305, a little bit of resistance. I've been looking for a retest of 340. That's what I'm looking for after the big news with HCA. And yesterday at the end of the day, it had some large candles, some large blocks taking out some resistance I saw on level 2 at 3 and 305. So I'm very excited about this one, curling back towards 340, and we'll take it from there. And again, we'll talk to Rex at 12 p.m. on AUGX. PERI, this is the earnings play. They beat on the top and the bottom. They raised guidance, but the stock is down because of macroeconomic impact, maybe macroeconomic concern. It's right at the 20-week moving average, but a couple things. They, 2 analysts came out with price target increases today by a couple dollars, not huge increases, like 37 to 39 and 39 to 41, something like that. But also I want to note, check this out. Last time they reported earnings was February. It was right here. Okay, this candle here. You see this candle? It went down sharply on day one, and then it took a couple days to recover, and then boom, it was back off to the races. So what's interesting here is I cannot get yet the conference call transcript. Maybe it's posted right this second. I have to go check. But they do it differently. They don't use the same technology that all the other companies use. They actually do their conference call on Zoom, and then they themselves go ahead and make the recording, and they archive and they put it on their website, they say within 24 hours. So the recording's not available yet. It wasn't available as of 2 hours ago. The transcript's not available yet, right? So maybe that's why you had that delayed reaction last time too on an earnings beat, is because no one could do their homework until like a day or two later. Possibly we're seeing the same dynamics today. Or it's possibly, by the way, this is why one of the reasons I'm bearish QQQ is because I think this is a tell. When you have such a big, you have earnings beat and raise, and you have the tailwind of ChatGPT, but the market's saying, I don't care. We think a recession is coming. We're going to push you down anyway. To me, this is a leading indicator. Believe it or not, I use stocks like this, a $1.5 billion stock and the price action of a $1.5 billion stock as a leading indicator for what could eventually happen to Apple and QQQ. That's part of the way I gauge sentiment, is looking at price action of different assets. So that's, gives me concern on a macro level, the price action in PERI, but I still am optimistic that the particular news and the ChatGPT will overcome that, right? So I'm still optimistic of that, but I do have to listen to the conference call, hopefully later today, or read the transcript to get renewed conviction of that, okay? So that's the story with PERI. TPCS, uplisting news came out. It's like TD's terrible when it comes to the stock because they're not uplisted. No chart, no news, no nothing. Okay. But anyway, they did say they're uplisting. That's effective tomorrow. So this will be an interesting one to watch today, but I can't really give you an analysis, unfortunately. But that might be in play today, tomorrow, Monday. All right. We'll see how that works out. TFFP, noted in my inner circle chat this morning, when news came out, this thing like rocketed like 50% right back down. The news, like, to me, it doesn't look so significant. I see no dollar value with this news. But you know what? I'm going to, we interviewed Dan Carlson often. He had like Atom is one of his stocks, ATOM, INMB. I love his stocks, right? So I'm going to see if I can bring him in, maybe even weekly, to catch on fire lately. And I'd like to interview him to see the significance of this news. To me, it doesn't look so significant. People jumped on this, and I guess some people got hurt who bought it at 90 cents. That would have been rough. So, but in any case, that's just on our radar, noting there's some news out there. We talked about ZYXI. SIGA had a 45-cent special dividend, so it's moving up on that, 14 cents. I will note, however, like it's up 14 cents. You could say, oh, it should be up another 30 cents. Another 30 cents would take it to $6.10. And let's see, 50 DMA resistance at like 585. But I checked the dividend history, and they also did a special dividend of 45 cents last year. So this is not necessarily a surprise that should move it up exactly 45 cents. If they didn't have that history and it was a surprise, I would say, yeah, this should gap up exactly 45 cents at the least. But in this case, you do have this resistance here at 590-ish, and maybe that's all you get out of it today. Okay. It does look good, and wouldn't be surprised to see it up at 590 at that resistance level. But, you know, I don't know. Is 12 cents worth it to play? I don't know. Can it move up 45 cents? Maybe, but I'm kind of leaning against it. Maybe 590 is the most you get out of it. So, all right, Adam, continue to monitor this for a potential breakout to $12. Did break that $10 level, but back below it this morning. So this is going to be interesting to watch for potential pullbacks. 959. Maybe there's some pullback entries in here, like 30 days short. Broke that 50-week moving average. So I think this is poised to move towards that 200-week moving average at 12. No guarantees, though. So you got to manage your risk. DRIO has earnings. They just said earnings are coming out on Thursday, May 11th. That was just reported this morning after the financing. On day 2 after the financing news, the market liked it, but nothing to write home about unless it can break that 20 DMA. If it can break that 20 DMA, maybe we can get back to $4. All right. And that's about it. We're continuing to monitor XXII, looking for a target of about 78, 79 cents. GANX, like 550 we're looking at. Laser, we're hoping for a breakout. HIMS also, but they both have earnings early next week. So I'm not sure Laser and HIMS can break out before earnings, even though they have very high short positions. And even though they're at key breakout levels, we may have to wait for earnings early next week on those. BTSI continuing to look good. And that's it. And going back to the top, my top conviction picks, just based on the strength of the news, is Lantheus, Shop, and again, GLBE in sympathy. But you got to find your spots. You got to find the right levels. You got to look for the pullbacks, and you got to manage your risk. All right. It's a lot easier to analyze something than it is to trade. So just make sure you have all those rules in place and you're executing properly. Look at LILM news. LILM Jet enters power test campaign at Europe's largest wind tunnel facility. SMSI schedules their first quarter conference call on Thursday, May 11th, and we will be interviewing an expert on SMSI next week to get his take on what to look for earnings. Centrix secures additional 1.1 million order from Border Protection in Texas. Very low float company with is this a big short position? No, it's just a very low float company. Oh my gosh. Wow. How many shares outstanding here? 800,000 shares outstanding. This has been always on my radar, but I don't play it much. I haven't really played it because I don't particularly trust management for reasons that I don't want to talk about right now. But that interesting stock could move on that news low float. And then you have SOUN out with some news. This is an AI play. So let's see what this SOUN news available on Oracle Cloud Marketplace. That's a mover. That's a mover with only a 500 million market cap. That's one of our AI stocks on our AI list. So something to look at. And Mogo granted extension to meet NASDAQ minimum bid price deficiency. And but we're going to focus I think we're going to focus on trying to get pullbacks on LNTH, SHOP, and GLBE. And we'll follow those other ones we talked about, particularly AUGX. I'm really looking up for a breakout in AUGX, hopefully. All right, guys, we'll see you at 12 p.m. today with Rex Man. I don't know what that technical issue is, but we'll see you at 12 p.m. today with Rex Man. Take care.